The 2010s were an interesting time. A lot of important things happened, some amazing video games were made, apps like Vine proved to be too beautiful for this world, and a lot of interesting things happened in my own life, and I'd like to share them with you now, so here we go. In 2010, I started a comic strip with my friend Chad called Nerd is the Word, but then very shortly after decided that a new name would be better and changed it to Otakus with a Z, or OAZ for short. I even streamed the comic making process a few times in glorious 240p. Thanks 2010 college dorm internet. I even made a handful of videos with Chad too.
Hey man, what's wrong?
What's wrong? The world! That's what's fucking wrong!
Okay, dude, calm down. I think you have an enigma problem.
If you don't take that back right now, I'm gonna throw mini Snickers at you until I feel better.
If you got a problem, I'm gonna...
Oh yeah, that was in college or whatever. In 2011, I drew even more comics and attended more conventions, all while dealing with college and one soul-crushing job after another. In 2012, I finally graduated from college with a bachelor's degree in graphic design, but much more importantly than that, and an achievement I'm more proud of due to it not involving student loans, I grew a beard and my self-confidence went up for the first time in years. In an absolute shock to no one, I turned out more comics and went to more conventions too. In 2013, I moved to Indiana on purpose, as the more affordable rent and accessibility to more conventions made going to cons with more regularity and opportunity for me. And comics. Lots of comics. 2014 was a blur of drawing comics and driving to and from conventions, and I legitimately cannot remember anything else from that year besides those two things. Those are really the only memories I have of that year. And a lot of them just take place at conventions. I like to refer to 2015 as 2014 Part 2, as it was literally the same thing, but with the addition of me learning about a form of entertainment known as Let's Plays. It was all downhill from there. In 2016, I scaled back the comics to make room for more conventions, thus causing me to sustain major burnout on conventions. And seeking fulfillment in a new artistic adventure, I started a YouTube channel and named it Otakus with a Z, planning to do a bunch of speed paints of art projects and maybe a Let's Play or two. But in keeping with tradition from 2010, I decided shortly after that a new name would be better, and the channel's name was changed to MugAndPlay, and the primary focus would be Let's Plays. History repeats itself and everything old is new again. In 2017, my convention burnout spread to doing comics, but thankfully the YouTube channel was growing and my faith in humanity improved proportionate to its growth. This helped alleviate some of the artistic burnout long enough for me to make my first Game Grumps animated.
Send this to 25 of your thickest elves. If you get 0 back, then you're an ugly Grinch.
I tried streaming maybe 4 times that year, but ultimately decided I was too scared to live stream. 2018 was an interesting year as my growth in video editing and my recovery from convention burnout combined to form a full-time job with my wonderful friends over at Taste Speech Studios. Anyway, later that year I decided to give streaming on Twitch an honest go and managed to make affiliate in September of that year. Oh yeah, I almost died and needed 40% of my blood replaced. And finally, this year was the most interesting one of all. I stream on a regular basis now, I learned to take my time with editing and adding more effects that has caused the overall quality of the channel to improve. I went to TwitchCon, and most importantly of all, I moved to Portland, thus crossing off a major accomplishment on my list. I even found time to make a second Game Grumps animated.
I threw the Wii controller as hard as I could at the TV set.
Did it break?
No, but it made the loudest noise. It was like a big party, and everybody was like, what was that?
When the new decade hits tomorrow, we'll talk about our goals for the new year as well as the new decade, and I'll try to come up with a more creative title than like the first episode of the decade. I know this one was labeled the last episode of the decade, so I'll try to come up with something more creative than the first episode of the decade. But thank you so much for watching. Feel free to check me out on Twitch over twitch.tv/mugandplay, where I play games live. It's a fun time. I know you'll enjoy it, and we'll have a good time. We'll hang out. But thank you so much. I love you all. Happy New Year. Happy New Decade. And I'll see you in the new decade. Peace out, everybody. I love you. Bye-bye. I waved for entirely too long.